Welcome. Let me just pull up the group so I can see if people have questions there. You can go ahead. I can see some of you are already raising your hands for coaching. Get your hands raised for coaching. This is what we are here for. Just so you know what today is going to look like is, there we go. What today is going to look like is me coaching, of course, and you getting coached. And then I'm going to speak with you about time hackers. Some of you know about it. Some of you are in it. Some of you have no clue what I'm talking about. I'm going to be speaking to you all about it. And then I'm going to even invite you to come and get coaching on anything you have around becoming a time hacker or joining a time hacker. And I'm going to also invite you to ask any questions that you want to ask about being a time hacker. So you can do that either on the Facebook page. You can write in the comments. I'm going to be keeping my eye there. And you can also do it here by going to the Q&A. So get your hands raised. And if you do plan on coming and getting coached, and my mission is to get to everyone. We've given us plenty of time today. Then if you do want to get coached, just make sure you have sound on, you are ready to be brought onto video. And I look forward to coaching you all. All right, lovely people. Let's go. I'm going to start with Carlin Green. I am bringing you on. Get ready to get coached.
Hello.
Did I say your name right?
Carlin, yeah, you got it.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What can we coach you on today?
I'm your problem child. I told you from Instagram. Yeah. Yeah. So I just saw that you were doing this and I just came over and raised my hand. So I didn't have anything specific, but I guess it's just around you've heard all my thoughts on Instagram, but
share them here for everyone, because then everyone can get the value from the coaching, because one of the most valuable things of like being in a community is getting access to other people getting coached. Because when we're watching them, we're like, oh, this makes sense. When it's us, we're like, no, this is really difficult. So this is a gift you give everyone.
Okay. Well, you're welcome, everybody, in advance.
Yeah.
I just, I'm following along your stuff and I'm like, I don't believe it, like it just to me is like make-believe stuff, which a lot of stuff is that way for me at first. Like, I'm just like, nope. But then of course I'm still intrigued.
Yeah.
So I guess I just wonder, like, my thing that I wrote on Instagram is I still have to get my kid to school in the morning and get up. Like, I would love to wake up at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. because that's where my body is right now. But I have to get my kid to school. And then I'm like, when do you work? Like, I don't understand all of those things.
When you
I can understand if you have a team behind you, but if it's just yourself, and I'm in my first 100K, so I know you've talked about that before, but like,
yeah,
so is that enough for you to dig in on?
Yes. And also, I think it's really interesting, just so everyone knows, like, I have one person supporting me and she does around 5 hours a week. So it's not like I work a 15-hour week and I have a team of 10 working 40 hours a week. So
that's what I was assuming. So
yes, so it's not that. But you said something, I'm just going to start here and we'll see where it goes. You said, I have to get my kid to school. And this is something I hear a lot from parents, is like, I have to do something with my kids, or I have to be with my kids, or I have to feed my kids, or I have to take them to school. And it's like, you actually don't. Why do you think it's important? Why do you think I'm bringing that up?
Well, because it's like the first thing I said. But then I'm just like, well, how is he going to get to school then?
Yeah, what if they just didn't go to school? What if they just, like, you got them an Uber? What if, like, all these different things?
Mm-hmm. I guess it's the point of the word I said, I have to.
Yeah, because what do you think I have to is creating for you?
Overwhelm.
Yeah, I think of it like a slot machine. It's like, I have to, I need to. And it's like, guaranteed overwhelm, pressure, disempowered, frustration. It's like, ding, 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 you win every time.
And that's so interesting too, because I actually like relished our time together in the morning.
What? And tell me, like, how differently does it feel to say, I relish our time together in the morning versus I have to get my kids to school?
Yeah, it's different for sure.
Yeah. So it could be that you might think like, oh, I want to stay asleep until 10, but that's not even true because you actually relish that time together in the morning.
Yeah.
And how do you think it would impact the rest of your day when you're sat in a place of like relishing your morning instead of overwhelm and pressure?
I imagine it would change things a lot.
Yeah.
But I still have like when I have days where I don't have to, or I don't choose to take them to school.
Yeah, I would really, and this is for all of you because it's something it's super common, like just our language around this. It's a really big one I see. Like, keep catching yourself, keep redirecting to I choose to, I relish in this. Yeah, go on. When you don't have the opportunity to relish in the morning together.
I do then also, I guess I'm coaching myself through it. I do also like relish not having to get up.
Oh, so you can relish regardless of what you are doing. It's almost like it's created in your brain and not by the actions that you take.
Why does this seem so simple now that I'm talking to you?
This is the advantage of coaching. So like, we never want to get annoyed at our brains because our brains are liars. Every single person on this call, I just want you to know, your brain's a liar, my brain's a liar. I still get coached. Like, this is the value of it. And it's not complicated. Like, how good is it? How simple it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, you're like, oh, this is so simple. It's like, isn't that fucking great?
Yeah, no, I get like mad at it. That's funny.
Yeah. Which I'm going to point out as well, because it's a big thing that I see with people is getting mad at our own brain, getting frustrated with our own brain. Yeah. And I coached someone in Time Hackers on this last week, like, what is the relationship you are building as you go out to pursue your goals and to build the life that you want to build and the relationships that you want to build and have the, you know, like time spent how you want to spend it when you are getting pissed off at your brain?
No trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no self-trust and like, yeah, just probably disempowerment.
Yeah. Like, I think about, I had two maths teachers at one point in school, and one of them was like, would talk, I wasn't super good at homework, I'll be honest. And one of them would say, you know, point it out and want to embarrass me and want everyone to know that I wasn't a good student. And the other one would encourage me and tell me what I was doing well. Which one do you think I showed up better for?
Yeah, the encourager.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, you want you and your brain to be on the same team. Your brain is still going to have the fear thoughts, the have to. It's still going to say, I have to. Even though we've had this conversation, in an hour, it will say, I have to do the laundry. And you'll be like, oh, I just got coached on this. Or you'll be like, oh, hey, remember, we don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I think that's like where I'll have to play around a little bit for a while. I'm just learning the concept that, well, when I first learned the model, I thought I had to like flip my thoughts all the time.
Yeah.
Felt like I was a dog chasing its tail.
Yeah.
So just like the awareness piece is kind of where I'm like, I think I'm finding the most learning or whatever right now.
Totally. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know the exact number, but I've said on my podcast before, 40 to 70,000 thoughts a day, because that's like what the research that I've read, I've never counted. I'm not going to spend my time doing that. I don't even know how I would, but we apparently have around 40 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Mm-hmm. We can either go through and try and like control and change every single one, or we can look at like the macro level and be like, here's just some sentences floating about, and here's what I want to intentionally believe, even if those sentences come up.
Okay.
Right? So the sentence comes up, like, I have to get my kids to school, and you can be like, cute brain, but I also want to because I relish this.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. The last thing I want to offer you is this description of like being the problem child.
Oh.
Why do you think you want to call yourself that?
I think it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what's it actually creating?
This belief, I guess, that I'm not fixable.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of the times, I've read this somewhere, and again, I don't know if it's true, but I learned something from it, so I'll share it with you all. It said 50% of the things that we joke about are things that we mean to say. So we like say it with a smile, but underneath it, we're believing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Because I don't believe it. I do believe that, like, I believe in coaching.
Yeah.
So, but I don't want to perpetuate like any opportunity for my brain to like try to prove that right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, thanks for that opinion. It's actually not true. Here's all the ways why I'm like the perfect client and the perfect candidate and the best coachee.
That's what I'm just going to start saying on your account.
Yeah. 1,000,000%.
I'm your dream client.
Yeah. We really are the experts of ourselves. We describe ourselves, and our opinion matters more than anyone. It's the one that we hear the most, and it's like the most factually correct one that there would be. So how do you want to think about yourself and talk about yourself on purpose, and then do that?
Yeah, that makes sense. I was like, you know, from my neck of the woods, just imagining making you laugh.
Yes.
And that was what I was like going for, but I definitely hear what you're saying. And like even yesterday, this is just an anecdote. I was at a coffee shop, and I said, and even like, I guess there must be some truth to it, so I need to do some work, but I really didn't think it was. But I was talking to the barista, and I like had all these like high maintenance things, you know, and which is a thought there. But I was like, oh, I'm sorry I'm such a bother or something like that. And he goes, what? Don't say those kinds of things about yourself. Yeah. And like on my way out the door, I'm like, why did I say that?
Yeah.
You know, like excusing my existence.
Yeah, even when you said high maintenance things, that you say it like, I had lots of high maintenance things, just so everyone knows it's a fact, versus like, I know what I want and I make sure to ask for it. Just the same thing, just in a way more empowered way.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So just
2 days in a row of that being pointed out to me. That's good.
Yeah, really, like you could do a really nice exercise after this call of like writing down, you know, how do I want to see myself? How do I already see myself? And a really good question, a trick question I use to trick my brain is, what do I think other people admire about me? Because sometimes we're like, I don't know, like, you know, especially as women, how we've been socialized to like shrink ourselves and not compliment ourselves for, you know, in case we get too arrogant. So it can be very powerful to think like, what do I think other people admire about me? And what do I admire in other people? Because, and you maybe heard me speak about this before, but what we see and admire in other people is what we see and admire in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And whenever we have like a story about us that we don't want to believe, we just have to ask ourselves to find evidence that the opposite is true, even if it's the smallest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do I have time left?
Yes.
So how do you then work 15 hours a week without a team?
Well, so I would definitely go to my landing page and read all about it. But the number one thing I will tell you, and the first thing I'm working on with the current cohort, is the 15-hour mindset versus the 40-hour mindset, and unlearning all of the rules that we have around time and what creates results and that we should do more if we want to achieve more and all of that juicy stuff. But the best place to find out more about that is the landing page, the 15-hour work week, and then obviously joining the next cohort at the end of the year.
Yeah, no, for sure. I appreciate it all. And I that was my foray into entrepreneurship, was when I read The 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss.
Yes.
Yeah. So I get it. And I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you being here and coming and getting coached.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Thank you. I will take you back to attendee.
Okay.
And also, for any of you that get coaching, or any of you that see other people get coaching and you see how it applies to you, I also encourage you to come to the Hustle Free Holidays group and share your notes and takeaways and any follow-on questions. I'm going to be available for them as well. Okay. Next up, we have Giovanna. I am bringing you on. Hello, hello. Giovanna, are you there?
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Hi.
Hi.
So I just ran from work and I have my training at 6 p.m. So I'm in between of everything. So pardon my messy looks.
No, all good.
First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. I've been following your group coaching and all of the information we had in the group. I tried to do most of those exercises, and I think I used them well. Essentially, I was always complaining about the lack of time. I always have this actually mindset of lack rather than mindset of abundance. And I did a lot of work with the therapist, but it was always this narrative in my head that I had of this boundaries, and I always kind of shy myself from the opportunities. In the last year, I have a full-time job. I got some side gigs, and it really escalated to the point where I felt on the verge of burnout. And then I used all the free resources I could find around the web, and just listening to other people and trying to listen to myself. Long story short, in the last 2 weeks, I got this amazing opportunity to get a part-time job with the same benefits as my full-time job.
Congratulations.
And thank you. Again, it's a little bit less security than I used to have with my full-time job, but this Monday I actually quit. And
Congratulations.
and I'm freaking out.
Okay.
Essentially, I think it's good for me. I'm so afraid that I think it's a sign that I really need to face my fears, and all of the things I was afraid already about how I'm going to tell to my boss and to my management and to my team. It all turned out to be much better than in my head, playing the worst scenarios all of the time. And now I'm actually struggling with this thought of this is too good to be true.
Yeah, of course.
It's so weird because I don't want to be self-sabotaging myself. I read all of the things, and now I see myself doing the wrong thing in terms of having this feeling of fear. And yeah, essentially.
What if the fear isn't wrong?
Excuse me?
What if the fear isn't wrong?
Well, then I made the mistake. And
what if the fear doesn't also mean you made the mistake?
I really like in my gut, and I don't listen to my gut all the time. I don't hear it most of the time because I'm too busy. But now in my gut, I feel I need to do this.
Yeah. So what I'm offering you is we experience fear as a completely evolved part of any change. Every person on this call, I promise you, whenever you are experiencing any change, the first step is going to be fear. But we then get to choose what we make that fear mean. And if we make that fear mean we're just an evolved human and part of our brain doesn't want change, then we don't need to stop and give it attention and divert away and, hammer at our confidence. Or we make it mean like something terrible is actually going to happen because the fear is here. So instead of thinking I need to get rid of the fear or the fear is wrong, what do you want to make it mean that the fear is there?
That I'm finally really growing and letting myself make a change, because I was always staying in this whole super safe zone, and this is all still a very safe zone and something very familiar to me. I'm not escalating to another industry, and I essentially, why am I joining this call now, and what I want to see is how to give myself permission to get really good offers and get a really good life, because I'm thinking, am I deserving this? This is too good to be truth. And then, I mean, it's something that we hear from everyone essentially that comes up and joins these calls. I heard it before, and it's just, how can I accept it and be like, I'm worth it and I can do it.
Yes. And I want everyone to notice, like, so one of the first things you said was like, I always have like a lack mindset. And so even when we get good opportunities, because we think once I get the opportunity, I'll feel abundant, but it's not true. If we get the opportunity without changing the mindset, then we end up with this story of like, you know, it's not going to last, the shoe's going to drop, I'm not worthy, all of this. So we can end up feeling actually worse. So it's really great that you've noticed that. So the question is, how do you want to kind of release your lack mindset and lean more into abundance?
I want to be more giving, because I'm always essentially this lack of time. I don't have time to meet friends. I don't have time to do things. I'm always on the alarm clock. I used to go on the dates and I had my alarm clock turned on, because that means I have to go home because there's something else to be done. So I think once to me, it's not about money right now. It's more about, because I'm just not present in the life of the people who are important to me, in the life of my dog. You know, I would take her for a walk and be making the calls and finishing work, and I just feel bad about it. So perhaps by making myself to give more time, exposing myself to be like, okay, I'm going to spend time with people without looking at the phone, maybe that would show me I have time.
And also, when you speak about giving, who's the most important person that you think you have to give to?
I want to start with the list now, but maybe it should be myself first.
Why do you think that might be true?
Well, I'm always like worrying I'm not present enough. So after my 9-hour work day, I would meet 2-3 friends. And then by the end of that day, it was nice, but I'm drained. And then the next day I have some extra work to do after work. And then, you know, for example, right now, I know the next free time I have is Friday, 8 p.m. And I don't think it's a good way to live life.
Right. And it's like, what we think is I have to be present for everyone else, but like, you are the number one person you have to be present for. How you treat yourself will always be how you treat other people. Right. And it's not that you need to like find 3 hours today for yourself, because when we really know that things don't take time, we step away from having to find an hour for ourselves, and we can really sit and like, can you give yourself 3 minutes of silence, or like 3 minutes of just like putting your hand on your heart and just breathing, or 3 minutes of playing a song that you just love, just to like dance a little bit around the room, or whatever it is. Like, it's not this big, sometimes we think it's like this big mountain we need to climb and we need like hours. So it's going to be 8 p.m. on Friday. And what I want you to think about is, what if it's like small increments and you can like actually find 3 minutes for yourself even today? And at the same time, acknowledge where you are already giving to yourself. Like even being on this call, raising your hand to get coaching, because there are things that you are already giving to yourself. So it's not like 0 and then we need to like ramp it up to 100. So there's 2 things there. One is look at the small ways that you can give to yourself, even if it's just a few minutes, and really like relish. I love that word. I'm going to keep it from Carlin. Really relish it. And the second is really ask yourself, how am I already giving to myself?
That's a good one. Because I'm either, I'm so good to myself, or I'm the worst, but it's always actually somewhere in between.
Yes. And the mindset shift from lack to abundance Like it's not an on and off button, and it's not an all or nothing. Even when you feel abundant, you'll still have moments of lack. Even though you feel lack, you still have moments of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Just what you are focusing on compounds.
Okay, I mean, essentially, I have everything in my life is the things that I fought for and I worked for, and I like them. You know, I'm happy to have a training now at 6 p.m., you know, and I'm happy to do that call. But then when I have this majority of things all of the time, full calendar, then I'm not present in it because, you know, I'm doing one thing and I'm thinking, okay, how many minutes I need to, you know, it's always, I'm doing one thing and my head and my legs are in the second. And then
I even want you to think about that sentence. I have a full calendar. You think it's like a fact, but it's a story. And that story is making you feel full and like weighing you down and constricting you instead of I have a day full of things that I want to do. The calendar can look the same in both. But again, much like the coaching I just gave Carlin, one is going to make you feel empowered and capable and badass, and one is going to make you feel constricted and like a victim and disempowered.
That's really rings the bell. Like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So to wrap it up, I should embrace my fear and just appreciate it day by day, and then whatever happens, I'll manage it, right?
Yeah, totally. And just be mindful of the story you tell yourself about the things that you have in your life, and be willing to take those like incremental steps towards where you want to be. That will be how it happens quicker. We think like, oh, I need to like take this big leap and then it's going to happen quicker. But it's like doing something, giving to yourself for 2 minutes every single day is going to be way more powerful than waiting till Friday at 8 p.m., at which point you're going to be exhausted. You're going to put Netflix on. You're going to be like, was that even what I wanted for myself?
Yeah. It makes sense. It makes sense. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of the work you're doing for this group.
Yes, of course.
Work more.
Amazing. Thank you for coming and getting coached. I will put you back to attendee. Now bring on the next person. Amelia, I am bringing you on. Let's coach. And for everyone watching, I didn't say this at the beginning, but normally I do. It's like, always be thinking about how the coaching that you are hearing other people get applies to you, and what you want to take from it. So that was just something to add. Amelia, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise. I just found you like this week, and I was like, oh, I really like this. And I am somebody who identifies understanding that these are labels that help to describe an experience, and I'm halfway like into separating myself from this and halfway into like understanding and accepting ADHD. And I currently work as a coach for people who experience the same thing. But a lot of what you talk about really fits into the ideas. It's just different language. And I find it really freeing because it doesn't limit with that label, but I'm sure a lot of people that work with you identify with that. So I wanted to say that and then share that I started my own business. It was extremely hard for me on one hand, like because of that, but I don't want to oversimplify it. There's a lot of like skills I didn't know going into it. I got hired by a company doing ADHD coaching, which was like, great, now I don't have to do marketing or anything, except that it hasn't been, I haven't been getting clients. They don't really do marketing either. And I'm like, it's just, so I'm like, okay, this is good because I thought all my problems were going to be solved, but I actually need to learn how to do this stuff to get to where I want to.
Your perspective to really say like, oh, I actually want to learn this. So,
yeah, instead of like, oh, someone saved me from it, and I'm like, no, just because it was hard, I actually want to like overcome that. So I've made that decision, but now I'm like, okay, how do I start? I've already been like only working with a few clients and having like a 15-hour work week, not by choice. And it's been really stressful because I'm like, well, I want to do more. Like I want to work on telling my story stuff. I'm not doing any of that. So now I'm like, okay, I have a sense of all the different floating pieces I could start putting together, but the knowledge that everything is really like out there for me right now, I'm like, okay, how do I just
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think when we start a business or when we start a new project or when we move to a new country or enter a new relationship or anything, it's like, especially with the world as it is now, there's like so much that we can do all at the same time, and we can be in 10 different places. So it makes complete sense that like there's like this big picture stuff, and that's what we want to like focus on, you know, like we need a business plan and all of this kind of stuff that I totally experienced myself when I started, versus like just thinking about what's the one thing that I can do today to get in front of someone.
Yeah.
And like really it comes down to the coaching I was just giving as well, which is so often we think I need to do all the things, and then we don't do any of the things because we're immediately overwhelmed by all the things, instead of thinking like, what's the one thing, and then really celebrating it. Because doing one, what I call needle moving action every day, is going to be way more powerful than thinking through all the things that we can do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And also it's the only like, okay, this is what I can realistically do today with where I'm at right now. And if I don't do that, then I won't get to the place where like I can do the next step.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna give me things to build on. Yeah, thank you. And as far as like, yeah, I guess just like time management for someone who it's like, there's that like big picture, I'm thinking about everything at once, and then there's also the like, okay, it's the one thing, but like I'm not sure if I should wake up and do it later. Like I'm thinking about how you said we're our own expert, but then like kind of what about when there's some areas where you haven't had a chance to get that self expertise yet, because you're kind of like, well, you're supposed to do it this way, but I know that doesn't work, so now like,
Yes. Yeah, we really have to be willing to create a hypothesis, which is just like saying, I think I'm going to do it, you know, at 10 o'clock, and then be willing to fail. And that's going to be the same with your marketing and selling and everything that you are doing now. Listen, like I'm on the internet seeing all the solutions, like cut and copy paste done for you, planning calendars, content calendars, all of that shit. But really what I want to invite you to do instead is test, like create a hypothesis. This is what I think is going to help me create my next client. This is how I think I'm going to help serve someone, and then fail, and then evaluate from that fail. Now, when we are starting something, what we want to do is succeed immediately, much like what happened when this company hired you. But I have literally had a client who came to me and was like, my previous business succeeded very quickly, so I never learned how to create success. So now, coming from this successful business and starting something new, I have no clue where to start. And there's this quote, I either win or I learn. It's one of my favorite quotes. And we think we want to win, but I invite you to like, it's like either I win or I learn. I fail and learn, right? But if I fail and learn, then I'm going to win more later. Like this is like the learning ground, right?
Yeah. Like it won't be by accident that things
won't
work
be
out.
by accident.
I'll know exactly why, because I through trial and error like got there. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what creates repeatable success, which is way more valuable than like one win and then being like, I don't know how that did that. And then generating imposter syndrome and then freaking out and then thinking, you know, being so attached to that one result that we then don't want to fail again. Like, what would it be like to increase your failure tolerance and your skill of learning by doing?
Yeah, that would be liberating. Especially the thing to remember for me now is that the failing, like you were talking about the teacher that shamed you versus the one that encouraged you, like I don't have to be in situations where someone is gonna say anything negative to me, because I can choose to ignore that at this point and only receive encouragement or give it to myself. So in my mind it's like, well, if I fail I'm gonna get in so much trouble, but there's not really anyone that is going to do that now. So It's just like learning that through doing it and then seeing that it's okay.
Exactly. And knowing that like on purpose, you can like talk yourself up, you can like have your own back, you can like, I can really create safety for myself to fail when I'm like, listen, Vicky, we might fail. I'm gonna love you anyway, but we might fail and it's gonna be public and but I'm gonna love you anyway. Right? Like really creating that relationship with yourself, like we spoke about, like I coached someone earlier today, like really being willing to have your back and create that relationship that I had with my teacher on purpose, like ahead of time. We don't want to wait till we fail, because if we wait till we fail, our brain, that primitive cavewoman part of our brain, is going to be like, oh my God, retreat, go back to safety. What is happening? Like it's already primed to do that. And we're going to be like in this place of lower energy because we've just failed. So it's like ahead of the fail, what do you want to say to yourself before taking that one needle moving action that's going to expose you to failure, rejection, and other people's opinions?
Yeah, just like you said, it's not win or lose, but win or learn. So there is no way that you can lose, because you're going to be extracting knowledge and learning, like regardless of the success type of outcome.
Yeah. That's
comforting. It's like, no, nothing's going to go away. You're just gaining regardless.
Yes.
As long as you take action. Yeah.
Yes. And I want everyone to notice what she did there was she created her own comfort. Whereas when we don't do that, we seek the comfort of picking up the phone and scrolling. We seek the comfort of going to the fridge 7 times. We seek the comfort of like doing something easy or watching Netflix or avoiding the work or going, whatever it might be, instead of, no, I create comfort by creating safety for me to fail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so helpful, especially thinking like my first round, there was a lot of like, oh my God, I did it. I'm showing up, but I'm having to recover so much every time. Like I make a post and then I spend 2 weeks like in depression and self-soothing. And now it's like, oh, I just create a baseline of like soothing, like culture in my brain so that I can do those things without it like taking me out completely.
Yeah. And it's like, what if that is like the one thing that you are committed to doing for yourself every day, instead of sometimes you think, oh, I have to post every day, I have to get something out there. It's like, what if actually it's just as useful, if not more useful, for you to create that trust and that safety and that changing that failure relationship, and then from there post.
Yeah. It's like, so again, like a lot of things so counter to the like typical advice, but so much more like sustainable and just
yeah, it's like we don't need our nervous system to always be in this like heightened state, like that's not what creates success.
Or it won't last. Like you won't be able to stay there once you get there, versus this is like you build your way up like with a really strong foundation is what
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And when you build with a really strong foundation, you grow a lot faster because it's easier to keep showing up.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, you're so welcome. So lovely to meet you.
Likewise.
Amazing. I'll put you back to attendee. Oh, did that work? Yeah, you can see something in the Q&A. Can we apply time hacking while being employed? And if we are supposed to work 40 plus hours a week? Yes, we can. Wait, can you guys hear me? I think so. Yes, time hacking is for everyone. Time hacking does not require a 15-hour work week. I was time hacking before I had the 15-hour work week. I've had a client in Time Hackers that literally got a promotion during the pandemic while having to work less because pandemic. And her actual team didn't know she was working less, but because of how she was using the time hacking principles and showing up, and actually there's someone, I can see her hand is raised. She's a time hacker. I'm going to bring her on for some coaching, and she has a full-time job and a business. But yeah, time hacking, I'm going to speak about it fully in like 5-10 minutes, and then I'll continue coaching people afterwards. But the principles of time hacking are like the basic information that I believe everyone should know about how to optimize our time instead of how to fill it, how to be busy, how to plan the perfect calendar, or, create an 8-hour workday and see everything through. It's like, how do you use those 8 hours, if that's how long you are working, to create the most results with like exactly like the coaching Amelia just got, without like shooting your nervous system out of the sky, while taking care of yourself, while creating presence, while creating focus. So absolutely. Can't see your name, it says anonymous, which is good, by the way, just so everyone knows you can ask anonymous questions. I will be touching on time hackers specifically. I'll coach someone else and then touch on time hackers. And then I will coach everyone who's got your hand raised. I plan on coaching you all. So thank you for that question, and I will come back to it. Okay, so since I just mentioned you, I'll bring you on, Emily. So Emily is a time hacker, and she has a full-time job and a business. So she is the example that we are looking for. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Let's coach. What are we coaching on?
I would like to just say I thought I was going to join Time Hackers to learn how to work less so I could work more in my business. But it actually has given me the opportunity to take care of myself and rest even more. So it wasn't just like reduce full-time work time to fill it with business work time. I just feel a lot more intentional with how I work in both areas.
Yeah.
So what I would like coaching on is...
Wait, I also have to share one of my favorite quotes from you. I think at one point, so Emily joined a month ago, so it's not like these things don't take time. I think 3 days in, you were like, I have too much time.
Yeah.
But my favorite quote was when you said something like, it's actually embarrassing how much time I do have.
Yeah. I was a little like ashamed. I was almost ashamed to post. I'm like, no, I just need to do it. Like it's gross, but it's a good thing.
No, it's great.
So I've been one of the modules in the Time Hackers portal has been really, really helpful for me on fear and failure. And I just want to dig in because I have a decision that feels very important to my mind. It feels like everything is on the line. And if I make this decision and I choose the wrong thing, then disaster.
Game over.
Yeah. And the reason why in my mind it feels like a big thing is because it has a lot of money attached to it. Yes. So I know what the investment would be. The benefits feel worth the investment, but what I'm afraid of is what I'm talking about is a master's degree program. And so it feels like if I do it, I like the outcome, but then I'm worried that I will have made a mistake if I had done it and wasted my time and money and that sort of thing, and then get into the line of work and be like, why did I even do that? I never needed to do that.
Yeah. What do you think is going to what makes something a waste of time or money?
Our thoughts.
Yeah, 2 people can do the masters and 2 people can never use the degree. And one of them can think it's a waste of time or money, and the other one can be like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did that because now I know I didn't need to do it.
Yeah. So what happens right now is I feel like I just shut down mentally when it just feels like the decision is too big. And I want to come up with a way to make it feel safe, I guess, to start exploring the options. I want it to be my decision. I don't want to outsource it to someone else and just do what somebody else says. And I don't want to defer the decision or just not make any decision at all. Like I want to make a decision.
Yes.
That I feel good about.
What if the decision isn't too big? Like I want you to think about Emily, like 90-year-old Emily.
Yeah.
Like tell me about 3 big decisions in your life. Is she going to be like this masters, or is she going to be like other things, do you think?
Let's see. That's funny because I sometimes do the future like wise woman kind of thing. And it always is like, relationships feel big, like who I spend my time with, how I spend my time, like in doing fun things and things that light me up, travel, that sort of stuff. And nothing else ever seemed like, I guess, doing work that is meaningful to me. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, so right now, and this goes for everyone, when we are in the present, in our lives, in right now, our brain gets like laser tunnel vision and is like, this is huge, this is everything, because it's super attached to the results we create in our life right now. When we zoom out, if like this is like a timeline of our life and we're like here, when we zoom out and like hover above all of it and look down, we're like, I don't even remember, like, did I end up doing the masters? I can't remember. Did I like it? Like, it's just never as big a deal. And what I want you to think about is your big fear of wasting time. If you do it, what do you think that's creating for you in the present?
Fear, anxiety, doubt, just all sorts of not great feelings.
Could it be time wasting as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Whenever we're like, I'm worried about this thing creating this result, we are creating that result in our present.
Yeah. So one of the things that somebody reflected back onto me is that, why do I even need to do this master's degree program when I'm kind of already doing that work through my coaching? And is there a fear that I just need another certification or some sort of external approval, permission slip, that sort of thing? And I don't think so. I know what it feels like to feel like I need external validation and permission and that sort of thing, but I worry if I'm just blowing past that reflection and not really considering it.
Yes, I always think it's interesting when we like blow past something and don't consider it, especially the fact you've mentioned it here, which is like, it's not zero consideration because it's definitely sitting there. So the question I want you to think about is like, if you were going to have the same business success, the same career success, the same financial success, the same impact, whether you did the masters or not, would you want to do it or not?
I'd want to be in that line of work versus the line of work that I'm in right now with my full-time job.
But if you were going to be in that line of work with or without the masters?
Oh.
Like the masters is not going to change. Let's say like you create the results that you want to create regardless. You just get to decide if you want to do the masters or not. But the masters is not going to be what creates your success, financial or otherwise.
Yes. Okay. Would I want to do the masters, whether or not I get the same results at the end of the day? So you're asking me, our line is the same. Okay.
Yeah.
I almost feel indifferent or just like slightly positive about it. Like it offers me an opportunity to learn more deeply some of the things that I'm interested in, expand my network in a totally different area. And I guess in some ways, like put myself into a totally new line of work. Yeah, so I don't
even want you to think, I'm even going to say that.
Okay.
Is it possible to put yourself in a new line of work and expand your network and learn without being in this masters? Like, I really want, right. Yeah. So it's because often we sneakily think that doing the masters is going to create the results that we want. And I just want to remove that.
Okay.
You're going to create the results that you want. Not everyone in that master's program is going to create the same results. Mm-hmm. So if you are going to create the results that you want, do you want it to be from doing this masters or not?
I don't think I really have to.
Exactly. You don't have to. Do you want to?
No, not really. I think what's coming up for me now is that I've never really thought about what results I want. Like I haven't filled out my R line.
Yeah. So it's so easy to fill out our A line, without even thinking. And just for those of you that don't know, what A-line is just the actions that we take. So it's so easy to think about the actions that we want to take instead of the results we want to create, because our brain has a fear of like, I say I want this result and then I don't create it, then I'm going to fail, which is obviously what your unlearning in Time Hacker is. But so it feels more unknown and less solid. Doing a master's is like a yes or no, you can control it. Creating a result, you can control it, but you're learning how to do that now in the program.
Yeah.
So, but because I've asked myself that same question before making investments into things, and my answer's been like, oh yeah, I want it, not because I need it. So it's not that we all would always choose not to do something, but it's the want versus the need.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about like the investment into Time Hackers feels totally, I mean, it was not financially, it was a different, but like thinking about the emotion behind it, it just feels different. Like I wanted to do it. And the master's degree feels like I'm convincing myself to want to do it.
Yeah. So do you have your decision?
Yes. And now I'm like, okay, time to start working on some results.
Fun.
Yeah. Got like, what, 15 more days of my fail challenge. So lots of results to fail out.
Yes, so good. Just so everyone knows, we are in the middle right now in Time Hackers of fail challenge, where everyone's failing every day and sharing their learnings and their lesson. And it's a way to like learn from your own fails and everyone else. It just accelerates everyone. So yeah, let's go fail.
Let's do it. Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we've got time for one more person, and then I'm going to speak about Time Hackers, and then I'm going to coach. So if your hand is raised right now, you are getting coached. No question about it. Okay. Madeline, you were also one of the first to raise your hands, and you're also a Time Hacker, so this will be fun. Hello, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well.
Good.
So I would love coaching on feeling overwhelmed and overscheduled, particularly, and I know I've posted about this a little bit in Time Hackers.
Yeah.
I am taking a writing class on Tuesday mornings from 9 to 10:30.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I really wanted to do. It's not directly related to business. Like, it's helpful, but I'm just doing it because it's fun. I like it.
Yes.
What I'm finding, though, is I'm not very productive on Tuesdays after doing that.
Yes.
And that I'm still stuck in this story of not enough time and like using what's normally my most productive work time for something that is not really work related.
Yeah.
And not producing work results. And so I know that has everything to do with, you know, how I am spending the rest of Tuesdays, how I'm feeling on Tuesdays, and what I'm getting done afterwards. But I'm still just in this, like yesterday, I found myself in this very like frantic, frazzled energy in, you know, like the 3-hour block I had between that and, oh, well, actually it wasn't 3 hours, but like even an hour and a half, right? Because the time shouldn't matter, the amount of time.
Yeah.
So I would love some coaching around that, as my brain is still a bit stuck on time equals output.
Yeah, also your brain is stuck on like, the way you've presented it to us is like as though it's a fact that this writing class is not contributing to your business. Like it's not directly contributing. I like have a bath and I'm like, that's contributing to my business. I can watch Netflix. I've just recently started the Gilmore Girls. Like this is contributing to my business, right? It's like there are no rules, but if you give yourself an hour and a half in the morning for this writing class, and then you tell yourself it's not productive, it's taking from your business, then you are going into your work with that mindset that you have already taken from your business. And that's what is creating the lack and the franticness, instead of like, how is this contributing to my business? How is me starting the day doing something that I enjoy the most valuable way for me to kick off my business day?
Doing something that's fun, where I'm in flow, could potentially get me into the energy of spending more time having fun and being in flow, doing direct business.
Yes. I've even noticed the like direct business versus like, it doesn't even need to be direct. Like, we don't even know what creates results. Like, I've seen you posting in the group, like, and then this person put you forward for an opportunity, and like, you don't know that like the last conversation you had with them was going to lead to them recommending you and putting you forward for an opportunity.
Right. It's true, actually, because that person I ran into ice skating at the park. And she was like, oh, I haven't seen you in so long. I was going to reach out to you about a referral.
Right. So you're going to ice skating. You're like, this isn't productive. This isn't contributing to work. Like, it's not even true. We don't even know.
And it's funny because I know that the writing class is helpful for work, even though it's not a business writing class, but just any writing is good for doing more writing. And I do a lot of writing for my business. And yet I'm having trouble like giving myself that time without any guilt.
Yes. So that's it, right? It's like, we don't need to get rid of anything or change anything. We just want to change the story about what we are seeing as valuable, what we are seeing as an ability to contribute, and how we are seeing ourselves. So yeah, when we say something isn't productive, the result we are always going to create is us not being productive. When we see something as useful, the result we are always going to create is like us showing up in that way. So that's why it's so important. That's why I harp on a lot about like, this is a story and not a fact, and being really mindful of the language we use, because whatever we see out there, whatever we are describing is who we are becoming. So if I'm describing something as not productive, if I'm describing something as a waste of time, that's how I'm showing up. So you get to decide the story and come share it with us that you want to tell about this class.
Mm-hmm. So the other thing that was coming up for me yesterday when I was thinking about how can I get out of this really unhelpful story was maybe I should make Tuesdays like a no work day.
But that's still coming from.
That's changing the action.
Yeah. It's still like, this isn't productive, so I should get rid of the whole day.
Right. Got it.
And you might decide to do that. I just don't want you making that decision from this story. So let's change the story and then we can work on the decision.
Right. So the story I want to be in is, this is the best possible way to start my mornings. I should start all my mornings with something that's so fun and focused.
Yeah.
Or that doing, even just to like divorce it from the activity and say it's so useful because it's reinforcing the skill of focusing, which I'm also
building the muscle of
from Time Hackers.
Yeah.
And that any activity that requires such intent focus is good for my business in so many ways. Like, it's good for writing, it's good for coaching,
like all that I did was make a suggestion that it could be useful, and then your brain saw that it's actually helping you create focus. So like, that's what we want to do. We want to make suggestions to our brain to open it up to the possibility of what we want to believe, not what we're currently believing. And then it's going to go out and find evidence that it's true, which is exactly what your brain just did with focus.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the question is like, why is this the best way for me to start my day? What do I love about this? How is this serving what I want to get done?
Okay.
Come share your answers. And while I've got you here, you shared something about joining Time Hackers that I thought was really interesting, just for anyone here that is wanting to join or in that place of I'll join later. So we spoke in December and you were like, I'm going to join January 3rd, and then January 3rd came, and what happened?
I still had a number of reasons not to join, that it didn't seem like a good time. And I thought about the coaching you gave me, or like the conversation that we had in December, that was going to come up no matter when it was. And I sat with that discomfort for a day, maybe two, I can't remember. And then was just like, oh, it's never going to be easier to make the decision. Like there was no divine sign. It wasn't like something clicked and suddenly the time was like, oh, now it's perfect. I should sign up. And so I just made the decision.
Yes. Yeah. It's like we're waiting for all the nerves to go away. We're waiting to feel 100% certain. But we forget that the passing of the time between the December and the January, for those of you that are thinking I'm going to join next quarter or whenever, it's like the same brain is going to come along. So we either solve for it now and make the decision, or we keep that same brain. Thank you for sharing. Amazing. I will see you inside Time Hackers.
Thank you.
Okay, lovely people. I'm going to speak a little bit about Time Hackers, and then we're going to continue coaching your faces. I can coach you on becoming Time Hackers. I can coach you on what you're going to get done today. I can coach you on what you didn't do yesterday. It doesn't matter. You can also ask questions around Time Hackers. And I can see we've got some things in the Q&A as well. So I will be responding to them. This is why we've given ourselves lots of spaciousness and time for this call, which feels really delicious. Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you. Time Hackers is the answer to all of your time problems. And it's the answer to all of your time problems because we don't do anything that you've been taught anywhere else. We don't focus on anything that you've been told to focus on in the past and everything that isn't working for you. And I have been there. I used to firstly be absolutely a procrastinator and put everything off. And then when I started doing things, I became the top hustler, doing all the things at once. And then I tried to control for that by being the perfect calendar creator and follower and color coder. So I've literally bounced from each of these places. But a funny thing happened was like 9 months into my coaching business, and I had achieved my 2-year goal in 7 months. It was ridiculous. And I thought about it like, it didn't take time. It didn't take a perfect calendar. I wasn't not there. It didn't take hustling because actually I reduced my hours. And when I reduced my hours, I increased my revenue. And it definitely didn't take like following someone else's perfect plan. Even though I worked with a coach, I did not follow her process. And I really sat with like, what does it take? Like if the number one thing stopping so many people, which is a lot of the conversations I was having with my one-on-one clients at the time, is time and not having enough of it, or it moving too fast, or it moving too slow, or not knowing what to do with it. What was it that had allowed me to create those fast results? And it came down to 3 things. And those 3 things are exactly what you will learn as a time hacker. They are core to the time hacker process, and they have you moving faster than time. They have you achieving more in less time. They have had my clients, like one client 11x her income last year while halving her working week. Another client came to me with like this 10-year plan that was like achieved, implemented, and generating revenue within 6 months. Like things do not take time. They take these 3 very simple, very crucial steps that I have lived, that my clients that you've seen here and that you see on my social, and I've had some on the podcast the past few weeks sharing their story. This is it, right? The first thing that you have to do, the first thing that we cover, the first part of being a time hacker is all about hacking your brain. Our brains have been wired for a different time. Our brains think that we are going to die all the time. And our brains think that it's very important that we focus on what could go wrong and all the negative stories, and we give them plenty of airtime. And when we do that, we are shrinking ourselves. We are playing small, and we are playing a game that's no longer relevant. And so like you can have like a great idea. You can know that you want to have a business, or you want to get a promotion, or you want to ask someone on a date, because by the way, I did time hack my husband. I'm going to do a post about that soon. You can know all of those things, but if your brain is like, we're going to fail, we can't do this, we're just a procrastinator, it's just who we are. My brain used to say that to me all the time. Like that self-description that came up with Amelia's coaching. When your brain is totally giving you the sentences and stories that aren't serving you, one option could be to like sit with them all and problem solve them all and make every single thought perfect. And then the other option can be what we do in Time Hackers, which is really changing our thoughts on purpose without rushing to do so. I think Emily spoke about this, like really like, was it Emily? Really like acknowledging what's going on and acknowledging it's a story, and seeing that our power isn't always in changing every single story and every single thought when we have 40 or 70,000 of them, but really hacking the whole system in one go. So what I teach around the brain and how you hack the brain is faster, simpler, smoother, and more effective than you'll see anywhere else. So that's the first step to time hacking, and you get the exact process. Like the moment you sign up, you can sign up today. I don't think there's a Q&A here, but I will post the link in the Facebook group. In fact, Kayla, if you are here, no, okay, I will post the link in the Facebook group to join. It's already there, I think, at the top. And so, yeah, hack your brain, get it on board the fastest way possible, the simplest way possible, move forward, like with ease, without like arguing with yourself. That came up today. Like imagine you and your brain being on the same team. You are just going to accelerate. The second thing that we focus on, and the second thing that's going to stop most people, is how we are taught to make decisions, how we have been conditioned to make decisions, and how we evolved to make decisions. And how all of that, in summary, is all done to keep us alive in the wild, to people please, to do things perfectly, to avoid failure, to stay safe. We've had that come up today. So our decision-making processes are outdated, and they are motivated by things that we don't need to be motivated by anymore. So when you become a time hacker, the second part of the process, what you are going to learn is how to make fast decisions for success, like the coaching that I gave Emily today. It really is unlearning every decision-making process that you have that keeps you from making decisions and allows you to sit in decision, and learning how to make quick decisions and actually implement them. Because if you are making a decision and not implementing it, then you haven't really made a decision. So the second process, the second part of being a time hacker, is all about making decisions fast and moving forward. Now, this can seem scary. I get it. I have a human brain as well, and I've coached a lot of them. But when we are in the place of not having made decisions, much like Madeline just shared, like we don't learn anything, we don't know anything else, even like Emily's coaching, right? Once you make the decision, you get information. And when we don't make decisions because we're afraid of making the wrong thing, or we want to know exactly how it pans out, like more time is not going to teach us how it's going to pan out. The only way we're going to learn how something is going to pan out is by making the decision and implementing it. So second super important part of creating success, of accelerating, of time hacking, is making decisions and implementing them. And the third one, and this is a big one, is how we approach fear and failure. And you are going to get my blueprint for how to actually fuel yourself with failure instead of, and fear, both, fuel yourself with fear and failure instead of avoiding both of them, instead of shrinking because of both of them, instead of making them mean anything's gone wrong with you, or you're not going to be successful, or that you're doing something wrong, or that something isn't meant for you. Now we need to think about how much more you would achieve when you see fear and failure as things to lean into instead of things to avoid. Like a lot, right? You would move a lot faster. You would make a lot bolder choices. And I don't just leave you hanging with like fear and failure. You also get a process, an evaluation process that turns every failure into the juiciest lessons so that you actually get smarter, faster, and accelerate forward. And then on top of that, as we spoke about today with Emily, you get to join 30-day challenges. So the current one is all about failing. Everyone's failing every day. So being in this community, you get access to everybody else's fails and lessons as well, which is how you just accelerate way beyond what's possible for like one individual who has to experience every single fail themselves. So those are the 3 steps. That's the process. You get it on demand immediately when you sign up. I'm gonna drop the link. You get access to that immediately, but that's not it, because the very first thing, I wonder if I can type in the Q&A. No, I can't. I'll put it in the Facebook group. It's under the live link of this, the link. The very first thing that you get when you join is actually how to hack the program. I think it's so easy to join and sign up for programs, but we don't know how to like squeeze the most juice out of that program. And we end up like starting, stopping, losing ourselves, finding ourselves, not knowing how to do it and all of this stuff. So I actually teach you how to hack this program. I teach you how to optimize your learning. You're going to optimize your time with the Time Hackers process, and you're going to optimize your learning before you even go into learning the Time Hackers process. Like, I've never seen anybody teach this how I teach it. It's going to be the most valuable thing. It's going to apply to everything that you are learning, not just the Time Hackers process, but of course, it's going to be what helps you accelerate as a time hacker. And that's not all, because of course we have the Facebook community where you can come in, share your learnings and lessons, get everyone else's learnings and lessons, and ask for coaching anytime. Like literally anything that comes up, you can just hashtag ask a coach and you will get coached on demand. Not to mention you can ask questions. Everyone comes in and shares their own takeaways from the worksheets, because obviously there's like a nice juicy workbook as well. You can come and share your lessons, your learnings, everything that you're processing from your own study of the Time Hackers process, and contribute to each other's. This is a room of leaders. This is not a room of students. This is a room of experts. Like, one thing I say is the time hacking concept and this idea is new, right? I created it. It doesn't exist in the world. So every single one of my clients is an expert in this process. And when you join this community, you are not seen as a student. You are not seen, there's no hierarchy. You are seen as an expert. And what happens when you are seen as an expert by a room of people is you raise up, you stand up, your confidence grows. You see yourself more that way. And we like continually contribute with each other. And this is another huge factor. You know, being an expert doesn't take time, it takes a decision. Being a time hacker doesn't take time, it takes a decision. So that's a huge thing in this program that's going to accelerate you in the program and in your life. And of course, we get weekly live coaching. So you get the Time Hackers process on the demand, you get how to hack learning and how to hack this program on demand. You also, I didn't even mention, you get the how to hack time module, of course. So in that, there's just some very short, very condensed, very powerful videos to reframe everything that you've been taught about time that's slowing you down, and start teaching you how to think about time, how to use time in a way that's going to have you accelerate without hustling, without doubling down, without doing more. Highly valuable. So you get that as well, and then you get the community and the support and the celebration and the 30-day challenges, which are like 30 days of 30 fails, 30 days of celebrations and success hacking, or like it's different every month. So there's lots of fun happening around that, and that's just like focused 3 minutes every day that you are going to be repeating patterns to build mindsets that you want to feel natural. And then you get the weekly live coaching, of course. That's your opportunity to come and get coached live. So you have 2 times. So we have every time zone covered. It's like we have a Europe Asian time, and then we have a US time, which is also works for Europe, but doesn't for Asia. And you get to come and get coached live and see the tools in action with other people's brains, with your own brain. It's probably one of the highlights of the week for all of us. And it really is like just accelerating the learning and accelerating the implementation. This is not a program you are going to watch. It's not built as something for you to like take notes and study. It's built as something for you to do. Everything is centered around implementation and activation. And that's why my clients achieve results fast. So that's Time Hackers. You can join today. You can be in there today, watching the process today, getting coached, ask a coach questions today, getting coached live on our call on Tuesday. Like, you get to decide to be in that room today. My guess is you are here for a reason, because you know that you aren't optimizing how you are using your time, because you know that you are capable of more than what you are doing right now, because you know that there is something better out there. And you are right, there is something better out there, and it's Time Hackers. And I invite you all to join us, to join basically this time revolution where we are unlearning time management practices and to-do lists and calendaring and color coding and all this shit that is costing you hours every week and literally years at the end of your life, and instead focus on exactly what it takes to optimize your time, not fill it, not use it, not be busy, but really achieve more and accelerate success. So you can just go to www.vickylouise.com/group. You can sign up right now. We can celebrate us. We can celebrate you in the community. And you can ask me any questions. I can see we've had some Q&A things come up. Ask me any questions about it. In fact, I'm going to bring, before we go back to coaching, I'm going to bring Bridget. I can see Bridget here. If you're ready to be brought on, because your hand wasn't raised. But she's also a time hacker. And I just think it would be fun for her to share a little bit about what you can expect. Sorry, Bridget, for putting you on the spot, but you are a time hacker, so it's expected.
Hi, Vicky.
Hi, how are you?
This is a surprise.
I'm
I've done my
sorry.
hair.
You look fabulous. I just thought it would be fun while you were here for you to share a little bit about what you've gotten from Time Hackers, what the expectation was and what the reality is.
Oh gosh, I didn't really have any concept of the difference it would make to my life. I am, for those that don't know me, I have two businesses. I'm a coach and a conservator, a craftsperson. My big thing was time. There was just not enough of it. Vicky pretty much heard that from me every week for God knows how long. And the consequence of Time Hackers is that I now feel I'm not triggered by time. And in fact, when I think about having to do something now, the first place I go is not, how do I fit this into my time? The first place I go to now is, what do I actually have to do to get this done?
Yes.
What do I actually have to be thinking? What do I have to be feeling in order to get this done?
Yeah.
I of course, I work to deadlines. I do projects for clients, and you know, I'm not perfect yet, but like creating space in what was previously an absolutely rammed timetable has just been transformative.
Yes. I also love when you took 5 weeks off in August and hit your financial goal.
Yes, gosh. Yeah, and the same with Christmas.
Same with Christmas.
I didn't used to, I maybe used to squeeze a couple of days for Christmas. Mm-hmm. This time took 2 weeks off. The summer took 2 weeks off. Earned more money this year than I ever have previously, whilst also fitting in writing a book chapter and taking 5 weeks off.
Yes, so good. And yeah, I remember when we started working together, you just wanted to get things done. You were like, I'm just procrastinating.
Oh,
it feels like, who was that?
Totally. I had this really kind of foot on the gas, foot on the brake scenario all the time. That's where I was. Like, I wanted to be full on, but I was too scared to be full on. And so there was this constant battle with me about, oh God, got to do it. Oh, can't do it. kind of thing. And it was so exhausting. And one of the reasons I can take 5 weeks off is because I'm not fighting that battle anymore. My brain is free of those arguments. I've got on board with what I want to do. I manage my brain much better than I did before. And I make decisions much faster. Like total time hacker, you know, manage my thoughts, make decisions, manage the shit that happens afterwards.
Yeah, fail more, but fail forward.
Yeah, and like revisioning fails. That's been a really big one for me.
Yeah.
Like fails are where you find the answers.
Yes. So good.
If you're not prepared to do them, you kind of cut yourself off from a lot of your own guidance. So like doing them, being in them, allowing them to be a complete shit show, and but just being in that and listening.
Yes.
And looking after yourself, that's another big one.
Yes. And what would you say the experience is in being in our community? I can see Maisie's typed on Facebook, the best community. She's on Zoom, so I won't drag her on. But what would you say the experience is being part of the community? Oh,
I love the community because it is one of the few places that I can kind of say whatever I want and also be wherever I am. I mean, God, like before Christmas, for about the 3 months up to Christmas, I just used to come on the coaching calls and just cry. And that was absolutely fine. And in allowing myself to do that, like I had the most massive shifts.
Yes.
It's just a place you can just be who you are.
Yes, and we need more of those spaces in the world. We need to hang out in those more and more. Thank you. And I'm sorry for distracting you on. It was just an idea. I saw you. I was like, I'm going to bring her on.
Thank you.
But you handled it like a boss. You handled it like a complete time hacker. And I will let you go. Thanks, Bridget.
See you next week.
See you next week. Amazing. So I just wanted you to hear it from Bridget. Obviously, you got to hear from Emily and Madeline as well. And Maisie, if you are on the Facebook chat. So yeah, get in that room, whatever your brain might be giving you excuses to delay or to put it off. I get it. I have one of those brains too. And I just want you to think about what's possible for you 1 month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, where you are in a community of people where you get to fully be yourself, where you know how to move forward in the fastest way, where you are making quick decisions, when you are celebrating failure and you have a process for learning from those fails. And like literally all of this is on demand and available for you anytime, as well as like the community and the peers and the support. Like really the way I see it, it's like, why not make it easy for yourself to create the results that you want? Not to mention it's a lifetime access program. So you're not going to get booted out in 3 months. You're going to literally evolve. And like Bridget's been a great example of that, of like the work she did to get things done. And then the work she did to reduce her work hours to 22 hours a week, by the way, in her business. And then the work that she did to launch her second business and write the book and take time off and have proper holidays. It's like, our time is always going to be a part of our life. Time is what our life is made up of. So how are you wanting your time and your relationship with time to look like? And like, when is the best time to make that change? It's always going to be yesterday. Like literally your tomorrow can be impacted by the decision you make today to become a time hacker. So the link is on Facebook, or you can go to www.vickylouise.com/group. I am going to check in with the Q&A, and then I'm going to bring people on for coaching. Okay. What is the name of the Facebook group to find the link? It's called Hustle Free Holidays. And in fact, what I can do is share the link directly to you. Oh, wait, what have I just done? Technology. Copy link. So what I can do is, type answer. Done. Type answer. Wait, how do I do this? Technology answered. Oh, it said I answered it, but I didn't. So here you go. One sec. And then you can all, I think you can all see it because it's not private. So I've sent Anonymous the link to find out more. Okay. Hi, Vicky. Can you speak about having obsessive thoughts? For example, when I manage to ignore the crazy and speak up or complete a task, even if I feel good while doing it, then I overthink everything that I said or did later. So it feels like I'm having a negative discussion, whether it's before the task or after. Even when I manage to ignore the crazy. Here's the thing, like, to go back to the coaching I gave earlier, if you were here, it's like, do you want to ignore yourself? What's the relationship you are building when you are ignoring the crazy or ignoring yourself? I actually have a podcast episode called Your Inner Crazy, or My Inner Crazy, or maybe just Inner Crazy, where I speak about this. And actually what I recommend is not ignoring the crazy, but allowing the crazy to speak, like really inviting her to the conversation and being like, I mean, I say her because my brain is a her, I refer to her as a her, whatever you refer to your brain as, go for it. But inviting the crazy to speak, like, okay, crazy, I'm here. Like, tell me everything. I'm going to listen to you. I am so on board with everything, and not making it mean that you have to believe everything the crazy says, and not making it mean that you have to make decisions from that crazy, but really you staying in the authority of like, I have a brain that has lots of opinions and lots of judgments, and I'm going to let it speak, and then I'm going to make the decision that I want. Now, what happens when we do that is there's less resistance, there's less fighting, and that voice feels like it gets to be heard. It's going to have to stop. It doesn't have to continue speaking as loudly. It doesn't have to continue to fight for your attention. And when it doesn't have to speak as loud and fight for your attention, you are actually going to find that it quietens down. So that's what I recommend there. Tal, so relate to Bridget. Yes, and thanks. Okay, amazing people. That looks, I think that's all the, so then can we apply time hacking while being employed, and if we are supposed to work 40 hours a week? Absolutely, because think about it. How would you show up for your work week if you had a brain that was on your side and was talking you up and was celebrating you and was telling you that you are amazing, you can do the things, you know how to get shit done, and you are successful, and then had a brain that had you making quick decisions and implementing them, and then had a brain that allowed you to move forward with fear and failure? Like, it's not, so just to be clear, Time Hackers isn't just a business program, it's like a lifetime program, because time impacts all areas of our life. It's absolutely a program where people are employed and working 40 plus hours a week. Like, there's no rules. With a 15-hour work week mastermind, you come in, you commit to the 15 hours. But with the Time Hackers, you get to come in and decide, I want to join because I want to take 2 months off. I want to join because I want a 4-day work week. I want to join because I want to start every day at 11. I want to join because I want to go from 80 hours to 60 hours. Like, there are no rules. You get to set the boundaries and the results that you want to create, and we just work together to get them created, whatever they might be. And it might be nothing about the hours that you work every week. It literally might be, I have this goal that I want to achieve and I want to just achieve it faster. So yeah, great questions. Thank you, everyone. Okay, Tiffany West, I'm bringing you on. And then afterwards we have Kelly, and then that's everyone. You did it. Hello.
Hey, Vicky, how are you?
So good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good to see you. Thank you for calling me.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to everybody. I came in a little late because I had a client session run over, but what I'm finding myself in is, okay, so I know what's happening in my brain. I'm having trouble with actually taking the action on the things I know what to do. So, a couple years back, my thing, I was pregnant, I had a baby, so I put things on hold on my business, and I would tell myself, when I have more time, I can do XYZ, right? So fast forward, after I started getting more time and I had help from my spouse, then it was another thing that came up, was like, okay, I need to put my son in daycare so I have more time to focus during the day. I've done that, And so now, like, I see what's happening. It was never a matter of time. When I get the right amount of education, I can, when I know how to write my copy, you and I just got out of that mastermind, and I got some amazing things from that mastermind, but I still find myself not taking action and hiding and playing small. And so I'm in this loop of like, because I have a client who just renewed, and my coaching is on fire with the clients that I have, but I'm just not taking the action that I'd like to take in my business. I don't know. When I ask myself why, it's my brain dances around. I don't know what the fear is of. If I had to guess, it would be possibly what keeps coming up is a fear that not so much that I'll be successful, but that I won't be able to carry the responsibility of the mass amount of people that I want to help, because I'm dealing with a lot of health issues and I'm focusing on healing my body. So in this state, I'm future projecting what I'm going to be available for. And it totally contradicts everything I want. I want clients, I want them more consistently, all of that. But then I don't feel like I'm energetically available for that with the way that I'm thinking. So it just feels like a lot of inner conflict that's distracting me from taking the small actions that I could be taking. And also confusing what those actions are, because then it's like, I have so many things I could be doing, then I shut down and overwhelm.
Yes, confusion is a strategy that our brain loves because it feels very real and out of our control, but it's all the same thing. But I also want you to notice that when I asked you what's creating it, you were like, I don't know, but if I have to guess, it's this very specific thing. So it's like, we do know, right? But our brain is like, if we say we don't know, which is the confusion tactic, then we don't have to solve for it. Then we never have to take the action. Then we never have to deal with the fear that we want to help loads of people. We're going to expose ourselves, and our brain's like, that sounds like a terrible idea. That's like very dangerous, very exposing. It probably thinks it's going to require a lot of your energy and has all of these stories about like how it thinks you need to be. So it's protecting you and saying, I don't even know why.
That hits home. Yeah. And also telling me that, you're like, that's a big responsibility. Like, how are you going to keep up with that when you're not even able to keep up with your health, and you don't have enough time in the day to do the things you want, just the basic things, just to survive? And I know it's not true, but how do you get under the veil of buying into it and believing it, and it's showing up in my inaction?
Of course.
So it's just like, I feel really stuck in that place of like, I know what to do, but I'm not doing it. And there's not enough, I feel like my brain is telling me there's not enough coaching, because I've had tons of coaching on this for years, and it's just still something I resort back to no matter what I do, the action that I take to clear the path of the obstacle that I think is in the way. So
I mean, there's so much there. It's like the judgment that you're not even taking care of your own health. You said it like, I'm not even taking care of my own health. I'm not even doing well with my own time. Those aren't facts. Right? Like,
no, they're feelings.
You either tell a shitty story about how you are showing up for yourself and showing up for your health and showing up for your time, which is of course going to then be like, well, I can't help anyone else if I can't help myself. Or you focus on the ways you are actually taking care of your health. You are actually taking care of your time. You have put your son in daycare. You have created all these opportunities.
I think what happens when I do that, because I'll write those things down, and I'll wake up in the morning and talk to my inner child and tell her all those things. But then when I don't take action, it's like the flood of the mean girl. That's my critical voice. Yeah.
Like you're like, when I don't take action. No, you getting up in the morning and writing the list is you taking action.
Yeah. And my brain will tell me, well, that's not enough. That's not bringing you clients. Because
the story is that you are. So firstly, like Madeline's coaching, we never know what's going to bring clients. It's not like one post equals one client, right? And secondly, the story that you have that you are attached to is that you aren't taking action, and you think that's a fact. And as long as you think that's a fact, your brain will dismiss the action that you take and always be coming from scarcity and lack. But you are already taking action, even if it's like putting clothes on. even if it's brushing your teeth, even if it's dropping your kid at childcare, at daycare, even if it's finding daycare for him. Like, you are actually taking lots of action versus the story that you're not.
So how do I get on board with that feeling like it's purposeful and useful and connected to my business? Because I logically know that every anything I do, like when you were coaching, I think it was Melissa, about, you know, how her class is connected and directly contributing to her business. Like, those things sound so juicy and amazing, but I'm not connecting that to feeling like that's true. Is it just practicing those thoughts more? Is that what?
Well, there's a few different things that you can do, but I'm going to share with you what I think one of the quickest, most powerful ones is, which is ask your brain a question. How is this connected to my purpose? Right? Our brain just isn't going to feel purposeful because from a place of like lack or from a place of fear. We have to actively do it. I think of it like going to the gym and picking up weights. Like, I can go to the gym. I can be like, I'm at the gym. Come on, muscles. I'm ready for you. It's like, no. I need to like actually pick the weight up. And that's what something like answering a guided, directed, purposeful question is. Like, if you want to build the belief that your action is purposeful, you have to mine your own brain for the ways it's already true. How is this purposeful? How is this contributing? How is me just being me, like, building up my tolerance to be able to help more people?
And then what do you do with the urgency in the brain? Like, it needs to be happening faster. You need to make money, or you want to be coaching and you need more clients to coach, and all of that chatter. Yeah. I feel like I allow that to override when I do point out the things that are working. I feel like that chatter, I just allow it to flood over that. And I just feel very, I don't want to say victim-y, but just very, very at the mercy of that. It just feels so overwhelming. And I just feel like I don't have the energy or the capacity to like fight it. And I know you don't have to fight it, but it's a matter of like managing that. Yeah.
Definitely don't fight it. So I'm glad you said that. But what we speak about in Time Hackers is like putting all of that in like a drama bubble instead of trying to solve for every urgent thought and just being like, okay, my brain is having a drama bubble. What do I want to make it mean that drama bubble shows up? Instead of I have to solve for every single drama sentence, which is exhausting, tiring, and depleting. It's like you get to decide, because if your story is this drama bubble shows up and your thought is, I don't have the energy for this, that's what you're creating. But if your thought is, yeah, like I have a human brain. Hi, brain. Good to see you. Glad to know you're still here. But I even noticed then you like smiled, like there was a lightness, but we were still speaking about the drama bubble.
Right.
That's where your power is. Your power, and I want all of you to listen to this very importantly. The power does not come in changing every single sentence in your brain. It's exhausting, it's time consuming, and it's unnecessary. The power comes in the story you tell yourself about the collection of stories that gather around your time, around your goal, around yourself. The stories, you can have shitty stories. I have shitty stories. I just choose what I want to make those shitty stories mean. I want to think about those shitty stories.
Yeah, I knew exactly what you meant.
I'm like, yeah, right?
Okay, yeah, that's very helpful.
And that's just like a way more powerful, effective way that allows you to-
it doesn't feel like I'm at the mercy of anything. It's just more of like, it doesn't feel weighted. It feels like, okay, there's this bubble with all this drama that my brain naturally kicks up because this is what it's gonna do. No need to act surprised. And then I get to decide how what I want to make that bubble mean or not mean.
Exactly. And if one story is I'm at the mercy of this bubble, that's going to be what you create. And if another story is like, yeah, of course it's here, I'm like shaking up the world, I expect it to be here. Bring it on. This is like for me, and why I teach in Time Hackers around fear and failure is like, what if it's like an amazing thing that it's showing up? We all have lazy brains wired to conserve energy. When your brain is speaking up and offering fear and confusion, and like, you know, and distraction, it's because it's like, oh shit, she might actually succeed. She's going to make us do something. Let's stop her. We have to stop her, right? If your brain didn't think that you had any chance of succeeding, it would be like snooze.
So it gets activated when there's a threat of the success coming, or the change, or the discomfort, basically, of that change. And speaking of fear, I don't know if this is something I can get coached on here. If not, that's totally fine. But I just got off the phone with a client, and she's going through a rough patch. And in this call, I was really afraid that I couldn't help her. I mean, I'm normally really confident in my coaching, and it's because of what she's going through, a breakup and all these things. I just felt very responsible for helping her feel better before she got off the call, because that's how our calls normally end. And this call, she was kind of just still like in this place. And I had a lot of fear around, like, I'm failing her and I'm not giving her what she needs. And I got off the call feeling very like defeated almost, or flat. So I knew I was making it about me, and I caught it in the call, but I jumped on this call after, so I haven't really had a chance to evaluate. But that feeling is really strong, like I failed her in this session, and I'm not sure what to do with that.
Yeah, because you have a thought around whatever emotion that she was feeling that she shouldn't be feeling it. Right? And this is something that comes up a lot with my time hackers when they don't want to disappoint other people. So we like overcommit, we say yes when we mean no, we, you know, go above and beyond and all of this stuff, versus like, what's your thought about what I would say to them is, are you willing to feel disappointed? Right? If disappointment isn't a problem, if her current emotion isn't a problem, if we're not measuring success by the current emotion we are feeling, how freeing is that?
Yeah. So basically just recognizing that I was triggered by what she was feeling, or had my own judgments around that particular feeling. So I was just bringing my shit into the call.
Yeah, like she has a certain emotion, so whatever it might be, so we can continue with, I literally can't remember the emotion I just said. Was it, I don't know.
I don't remember either, but her emotion was guilt. That was the one.
Yeah, so she has guilt. Sorry guys, I have pregnancy brain. That's what I'm using. Her emotion was guilt. So what's your judgment about guilt?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Something I might need to think about. Yeah, I'm not sure what my judgment is.
Yeah,
because I was telling her it's okay to be there.
Yes.
But I probably wasn't really believing that, if that emotion was, that's what I felt like I couldn't get her to a place of feeling okay with what I was saying about the guilt. And so,
versus like, she doesn't need to, like, whatever it is, it's fine.
Yeah. So I'll have to sit on that, and then really work through the emotions that are coming up with feeling like, being okay with feeling like, I know I didn't fail her in this session. I just feel like I did.
Yeah, I also want to give you, this literally came up on the Time Hackers call this week. I want to give you this idea that whatever your thought is about the session is your thought and doesn't impact what she takes from it. Much like, this is the example we use this week, like I'm using Zoom now, and the CEO of Zoom could be like having a bad day and being like, oh shit, like no one likes Zoom, everyone's moving on to Google Meet, and like I don't know if any of this is true, this is all made up, but you know, you'd be like, oh my God, and then imagine him being like, well now, you know, subscribers are going to go down. Like, no, we're still here using it. His thoughts about the service that they offer doesn't impact the service that they offer. So just like separating out this like need, because the more you resist whatever's going on in your brain, the more it's going to persist. So I just invite you to, like, your thoughts about the session are not universal truths about the session.
Just like my thoughts about her emotion.
Exactly.
Okay.
Got it.
Very helpful. Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you. Bye, love.
Bye.
Okay, Kelly, you are the most patient. We really appreciate you hanging on. and also celebrating you joining Time Hackers. Hello, hello. Hello. Oh, you're on mute.
There we go.
There we go. Congratulations on becoming a Time Hacker.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I joined, and that's why I'm on here today, for this specific reason, to launch my podcast.
Yeah.
I listened to your podcast. Gosh, I think it was Sade, who she was talking about. She came, like every single Time Hacker coaching call was being coached about her podcast, and again and again and again. And I was like, I need this so much. So
yes.
I wanted to launch my podcast for like 3 years. Time is not a problem. I do not have a lack of time. I have a full coaching practice that allows me time, but I am not taking action.
Yeah.
I have the time, and I have all of the excuses.
Yes. What are some of those excuses?
I really get stuck on wanting to do it right. Right.
Yeah.
I want the information to flow and make sense for my audience. I need the specific steps to get the podcast like out of my brain and onto paper. And my ADD and overthinking really complicates all of it. I get very stuck and convinced. I make the list of what I'm going to do, and then I stop right at the place where I have to actually do something that makes an actual impact, like begin outlining the episode that I chose.
Yes.
So
yeah, what do you think you need to be willing to do or to feel in order to get started? Get that first episode done.
The first thing that comes to mind is it's almost like I have to be willing to hate it. I have to be willing to hate what I just recorded. Yes. I have to be willing to hate this outline. I have to be willing to like hate what I have right here in front of me. Like, I think Brene Brown calls it the shitty first draft. Like, I really have to be willing to hate whatever comes out of me initially.
Yeah. Have to be willing to suck. If you're not willing to suck, you will never do it, because you will suck.
Yeah.
With love. I say this with love, but
right.
You will. My first episode, and there's lots of coaching for you to rewatch with Debbie and Sade, and of course you'll get coaching because you're in the community on this as often as you want. But yeah, there's no perfect that happens. There's a willingness to have the negativity and to have the human brain and to have the resistance to the emotions and to be willing to hate it. And as soon as you are willing to hate it, it will be done.
And for it to be hard, like to really struggle with trying to get my brain on paper.
Yeah, but it's not hard to create a podcast. I could interview you and about your work, and you could answer every question perfectly. And you could be like, yeah, I know what I want to say. I know what's important for my people. The only difference is doing it alone and the ability to overthink it and the desire to have it be perfect. But if you had like a live radio interview, you would not know what to say.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
What does the version of you that's like hit 100,000 downloads, like 20 or 50 episodes recorded, what does she say to you about this?
I want to like totally discard what just came into my brain, but I'm going to say it anyway. She says, have fun, like just have fun. Stop being so fucking serious about all of it. Like, just have fun. Let it be. I've been taking notes while you've been coaching. And one of the things I wrote down was like, what do I need to decide about my podcast? And the two things I wrote down that I think speak to the whole fun thing is that my podcast is for me. Like, it doesn't have to be for anybody else. It can go into the world, but it could still be for me, just for fun. And the other thing I wrote down was my podcast is like the best couch fireside conversation with a good friend. Like, it doesn't have to be any more outlined or complicated or serious or have flow or make sense. Like, when I think about my favorite conversations with friends, we've bounced and bounced and bounced and bounced and laugh and say things backwards. And you know what I mean? Like, it just, they're not complicated. They're fun. They're like, you can't wait to sit down and just talk.
Yeah.
And so I think that this is part of it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, you don't need to create a podcast.
No, I don't. I don't need to create a podcast for my business. I don't need to create a podcast to get more clients. I don't need a podcast for anything at all, actually.
Yeah. But why is it for you? Even if, like, not the act of the conversation, but like, who do you get to become as someone who has started with this thing that you've been putting off for 3 years and then achieving it? How is that so juicy for you?
Because I love my thoughts and my ideas, right? When I like am just in the coffee shop with my notebook, writing about whatever I'm writing about, I'm like, this is so fucking good. I love this.
Yeah.
And I have like specific people that I think about, like, I can't wait to talk about this with this person. I just had this idea about how I used to think about this, and now I see it this way. And that is what it is for me. It is the like having fun with my brain, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. And can you tell me about a time in the past where you have taken something seriously and then invited fun, and how did you do it?
I feel like I have been way too serious lately. I'm trying, like, I really am trying to think, have I been able to bring fun into anything lately? I don't know.
I would even think about the conversations that you said you have with friends, or what you were saying about writing in the coffee shop when you were speaking there, like you were kind of lit up.
Yeah.
Because you're going to learn more about this in Time Hackers, but like, we don't always need to invent the wheel. Sometimes we have the wheel and we just want to be like, oh, I actually have fun with this friend. Why? Like, having conversations with this friend. Why? What are my thoughts there? And how can they apply to doing my podcast?
Oh, yeah. What are my fun thoughts? They really are like declarations, like, I love this, or I love you, right? I love talking about this with you. I do, like, that emotion comes up super strong in like bursts and just gets all over the person. Yeah, they really are like bold declarations of, this is so good. This is so fun. I can't wait to talk to this person about this. I can't wait to see what they think about this. I can't wait to, and then my brain goes to the place where I'm like imagining it. And then I don't hesitate to take action. I'm not hesitating to send a text and set something up and actually make it happen.
Yes. So I invite you to like allow your imagination to sit and like loving this and connecting to this and having that conversation with yourself and being that person that's like, gold is coming out of my mouth right now. Like, oh my God, this is so fun. And really like allowing yourself to imagine it instead of thinking, I must write the plan.
Yes. I watched the module of the visualizing it. Like sometimes even just visualizing it has you generate enough emotion and enough energy to actually take that one small micro step, whatever it is. And I can see how this would be like, this is part of that, right? Of when action is so difficult and I'm making it so complicated, to slip into the visualization of having it be fun and being excited and letting that generate the emotion needed to take that. And I actually have coffee shop time scheduled. So this will be exactly what I use it for.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
And just be willing to let that first episode suck. Like, I think I recorded my first episode 3 times before I was like, I'm done. However it is how it's going. Like, and I'm so glad that I didn't, because otherwise I've got over 100 episodes now. I would never have lasted if I'd have tried to like make every episode perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Amazing. And everyone watch out for Kelly's podcast. It will be up within the month. I guarantee it.
I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. This is exactly why I'm in Time Hackers with you. Yeah.
Yay. Amazing. Thank you for coming and getting coached. I will see you inside the community.
See you in the community.
Everyone, thank you for coming, for staying, for being here, for showing up for yourselves, for showing up for what you want to create and who you want to be. I really invite you to say yes to becoming a time hacker right now. There is absolutely no better time. Whatever you want to work on, just like Kelly, whether you've been waiting 3 years or 3 months or 30 years, like literally doesn't matter. We are going to get it done and we are going to have fun along the way. Give yourself an amazing community, a streamlined process, and people that want to just support you and celebrate you and not make you ever be wrong or your brain ever be wrong. And let us accelerate you into what you know you are really, really capable of. This program is like everything you need to succeed and nothing more. There's no fluff. You are going to learn things that are going to blow your mind and also feel like just a glove that fits at the same time. If you have any questions, you can pop them in the Facebook group. I did actually think I saw another question in the Q&A. Vicky, this session is brilliant. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Anonymous. Amazing, lovely people. I will see some of you inside Time Hackers, and the rest of you I'll probably see there in 6 months. So just join now. All right, loves, have a wonderful rest of day, rest of week, and I will see you inside the Hustle Free group or Time Hackers. Bye, lovely people.